Okay, so let's do it. Okay, this is lesson 5. I'll be honest and say it wasn't the best lesson I've ever had. What happened was I got out on the road and my gears and lane position weren't to a standard where the assessor could assess me, or my instructor could assess me. So what happened was we went to an industrial estate where there was plenty of room, and for the rest of the lesson I practiced reversing. Overall, I describe the lesson as disappointing for me. I did feel that the instructor did put a lot of effort into teaching me how to drive. It just wasn't a good lesson for me. The videos on YouTube of reversing didn't help, to be honest. It's okay seeing the machinations of the truck, that the trailer goes to the left and you steer around to the right, straighten up the two trailers, the A and B trailer, and then straighten up the prime mover at the same time. But that didn't actually help me in the driver's seat using the mirror. It didn't actually help me with my reversing. That is to say that understanding the concept of reversing, looking at it from the outside, is vastly different to actually being in the driver's seat and reversing the vehicle. With my driving this morning, some driving was very good, and other driving wasn't so good. Reversing, it's amazing how small an adjustment with the steering wheel and the truck and the A trailer has on the B trailer. So your timing has to be pretty well exact with reversing, with correcting the movement of the rear or the B trailer, and lining up your A trailer and the prime mover at the same time. The ambition, enjoyment of driving a BW is still there for me. I still think that a BW is a fantastic handling, looking, performing vehicle, and I just honestly enjoy driving the vehicle. I just really wish that my experience was better. My ability with the constant mesh gearbox, approaching corners without thinking things through. I wish they were a lot better, and so that I could enjoy just getting out there and driving the vehicle. Will I watch YouTube videos? Yes, I will watch YouTube videos. Not with reversing, I'll give that a rest, but this week it'll be gearbox work, just going through the gearbox in the high and the low range and the splitter. Are videos confusing me? Are they making it better or worse? I really can't tell. You tell me. Previous videos I've been speaking about, I've been researching around Sydney, all areas of Sydney, and getting to know the road system. I'm now also starting to branch out on my channel. I've got a series of 10-hour drives. So what I do is I get in my car and I drive for 5 hours, and then you've got the return driving work, and so that should be roughly a total of 10 hours. So last Saturday, or last Sunday, beg your pardon, I went to drove from Sydney to Port Macquarie, and about half an hour to 45 minutes north of Port Macquarie, and then there was with the return trip. The audio wasn't too good because it was an old camera. Let's see, this is the one here, and you can hear the rattle, so the noise quality wasn't so good. And yesterday I went out to Bathurst, Orange, Molong, and I nearly made it to Wellington. And so with the return trip, that's 10 hours. That video should be up fairly soon. The audio is not as bad as the previous one, the one to Port Macquarie, but the picture's a little bit shaken because the suspension in my car isn't the best, and so the camera gets shaken around a bit. But I might try and do something with that video with the YouTube video editing software. I was talking to my uncle, who was a truck driver from 1973 to 1983. I actually went out once with my cousin in my uncle's truck, and I remember it was a lot of fun. He was speaking how hard it was back then with the road system and methods of being paid, the low powered engines in the truck, and how hard you had to work back then as a truck driver. He was talking about a trailer he had once with airbags, and it was back in the day when the airbags weren't working so well, and he actually had to return the trailer, and he demanded the trailer to be returned, and they paid him back for the trailer. Apparently the ride or the suspension wouldn't keep the trailer flat or level, and apparently it wasn't very good quality airbags. Then he had a trailer that kept on bending, and he had to actually reverse and go forward and reverse and go forward. Otherwise, if he turned the truck and trailer, the semi-trailer, the trailer would actually bend. And he said that he had the trailer reinforced. He took it to a metal fabrication place, and they put metal bars along the sides, and he said that it was a metal and wood setup or design, and he had it reinforced, and then the trailer was good after that. He had a non-paying boss. The boss wouldn't pay, he'd only pay in small payments, but not the full total. And I know all about that from being a tradesman. I was a tradesman for about 24, arguably 30 years. The non-paying boss actually paid up after my uncle had stopped working for him, and apparently this guy running the transport company actually had two men go in there with a shotgun and fire it off, because you upset people, and people don't get paid, their families don't have what they need to be comfortable and survive and eat and everything. So of course you're not going to make friends if you use people's labour and don't pay them for it. Funnily enough, the interest rates back then were 17%, and I've said it before, if you got 17% interest rates, there's a lot of money to be earned from banks in savings accounts, and so you get non-payments. You get owners of businesses holding on to the money and not letting it go. And that only makes enemies, of course. It's no secret. He worked for a long time loading and transporting cow skins, and he said that he'd drive for a long time, and he'd get there and he'd just work non-stop, thousands of cow skins, and it'd be in the middle of the night or whenever, 2 o'clock at night, and one guy would be down on the ground throwing the cow skins up, and he'd be stacking them, and he'd keep on doing that until he worked his way back, and as he was going he'd tie off the top rails and keep it all very tight, and then he'd put a tarp over the top of that. Yeah, there's a few stories about driving a lot to earn the money. And he was talking about the roads back then. The motor was a 250 horsepower motor, and he said you'd just be constantly working the gearbox up and down the gears. And of course, you didn't have the road system, you didn't have the petrol stations and places to stop and rest. And it wouldn't be like today with the new vehicles and transport hubs and everything. The truck I'm driving at the moment is it's a Mack 600 horsepower, and it's a flat nose. And I think that if I had a long nose truck, I really don't think that I could clear the rear trailer. I don't think I ever will, but if I bought a truck for myself, it'd definitely be a flat nose truck. With a BW, you have to sort of slide your truck along the very outside perimeter of all the roundabouts and corners, and really quite a lot of the time the B trailer, the wheel gets very close. It doesn't actually touch, but it does get very close to the curb. Okay, so just to wrap things up now, just the difference between a heavy combination and a multi-combination. Heavy combination, you seem to go into the corners and sort of work the vehicle and work the rear of the prime mover to bring the trailer out and to clear the curb. With the multi-combination, you tend to come into the corner real wide, or even out and on an angle. And you just, as I say, just follow the outside edge of the corner just to bring it out as far as you can, and even go into oncoming lanes to clear it. So multi-combination is sort of approaching it, its lane position, and just coming right out the edge and just more of a circle, like a big wide circle with the prime mover. Instead of sort of working the steering wheel to get the angles you need to clear the rear trailer on a heavy combination, or what they call in Northern America a tractor trailer. I can say that I'm much happier at work now. I'm more relaxed at work, and in my life. I've finished a big project that I had to finish, and just generally, now that I'm doing something with my career and I'm getting these lessons and I'm getting these abilities and practice and experience with driving a truck, which means that I can probably move my career on. I'm just in general, I'm more happy, and I'm much happier at work. Right, that's it. Now I'll just show a picture of the vehicle, or a similar vehicle to what I'm using to try and get my license. That's a B double trailer there, so the A trailer actually goes to here. They're the wheels for the A trailer, and the B trailer, which is a normal semi-trailer sits over the A trailer. There's another picture of the B double trailer. And there's a B double unit similar to the one I'm driving.